Bolivia is a nation that is in trouble, and it is good of them to actually use gold to try to get out of that trouble. But when you think about what they're exchanging it for, it may not make sense to a lot of us. But in reality, it's probably the best thing that they can do. Let's talk about it as we explore. Bloomberg is reporting about what central bank is doing. It's having a gold rush there in Bolivia right now, and it's using that gold to prop up its finances. Yes, indeed. In fact, you and I, we can prop up our finances with gold as well, but the way we're going to do it is much different than the way that the Bolivians are going to do it. In fact, we usually go to a bullion dealer to buy our precious metals. Seven Metals is a great new dealer that is really making a name for themselves, one of the fastest growing out there right now, and they have got a great selection of gold and excellent customer service and fast shipping. So check them out at summitmetals.com. And Bloomberg is reporting here about the chaotic gold rush that is occurring right now in Bolivia, and they are essentially raking in more than $3 billion by buying some of the bullion and swapping it now for much needed, yep, you guessed it, dollars. They're using that gold to buy dollars. Usually for us, we use our dollars, which are decreasing in value, to buy gold. Well, that just goes to show you that what Bolivia is doing is really giving more credence to this idea that the dollar is the most dominant currency out there. The dollar's hegemony is growing, and or it is certainly growing in Bolivia for sure, because their much needed dollars are in demand there. It's been a puzzling phenomenon for a while now. Bolivia is facing a crippling dollar shortage, a local currency crisis, and surging inflation, and yet it's still honoring its debts. A visit to Canguila, one of the hundreds of mines carving gold out of the lush Amazon basin north of La Paz, helps explain it. Here, under the world's largest rainforest, the central bank has found a way to raise billions of dollars to help pay back international bank holders or bondholders, with the nation's debt trading at distressed levels ahead of hotly contested general elections this coming weekend. The tripling of international gold prices in the past decade has accelerated the shift from centuries-old panning practices in which artisans use shovels, picks, and even their bare hands to sift through river sediment, to industrial operations that are reshaping the riverbank and flooding homes, schools, and businesses. Some of the excavators, front loaders, and dump trucks that rumble through Cangali's eroded landscape are owned by Chinese companies that set up camp in the area. You know, that is a real problem for sure that we've been seeing with some of these artisanal gold operations that are done, and not only with dangerous conditions for humans, but also at a cost to the environment around them. But nonetheless, Bolivia is using that and trying to get more gold out of the ground, and also using Chinese companies to do it. The Chinese are making headway in many nations in Latin America, and here in the United States too, buying up a lot of our farmland and the like. So there's that angle that is a little troubling, but nonetheless, they are taking it and exchanging it for dollars, which means that the dollar being the dominant currency around the world, and Bolivians know that. And so they're using that gold to prop up their finances with dollars. One of the biggest buyers in this gold rush is Bolivia's central bank, which received congressional approval to exchange the gold for hard currency at a time of record prices. Even Finance Minister Marcelo Montenegro has acknowledged the economic benefits, telling reporters in February that the bullion is helping the country meet foreign debt obligations and finance fuel imports. So that is what's happening here, and that's why they're taking this. And gold is fungible, obviously. You can exchange it for a lot of different things. And of course, but the dollar apparently is the transactional currency of the world. Still so much so that Bolivia wants to accumulate it. And by the way, that's something that I encourage all of us to do, is to have some of these on hand. Even though it's a declining store of value, having these on hand is crucially important to not only help us to maintain fiscal responsibility, but also so that we don't have to liquidate this at a time not of our choosing. we should only liquidate at a time of our choosing when we can either profit from or, in most cases, just essentially protect our wealth and fight inflation to protect ourselves from economic instability. And so that is what it's about. It's about breaking even with gold and silver, which is why I don't look at them as investments at all. I look at them as hedges, as an insurance policy. It is the ultimate insurance policy. But you should insure your insurance policy with these on hand so that you can liquidate these, and so you don't need to get rid of this, your ultimate safe store of value. And so it's critical as a lifeline for Bolivia, where financial challenges persist. The unpopular leftist government is grappling with the deepest economic crisis in decades as its natural gas bonanza peters out. Fuel subsidies drain coffers and the currency tumbles on the black market. Sporadic protests have blocked highways this year, aggravating shortages of gasoline and also cooking oil. So it's a real big problem there in Bolivia with this situation at hand, which is why they are working hard, and even to the detriment of the environment. And so we got to look at to see how this is going to pan out for sure. But it is pretty troubling, indeed, what's going on there with the environment and with dangerous conditions for miners. But I guess they're willing to take that chance, and they're using gold to make this occur. And with shortages of fuel and cooking oil, that's going to make it much more difficult to even mine to be able to get the gold, so they can get dollars in exchange for the gold. But the central bank buying it up and exchanging it for dollars, and hopefully Bolivia will have a store of gold for themselves too, so that they can be solvent if the worst case scenario happens, and that is a dollar crisis. And a dollar crisis is something that we're starting to see with inflation. If it takes off and again, and some people feel with the PPI numbers that have been released that it could, but also with the situation where the world looks to de-dollarize, as has been the case with the BRICS nations. Now, as you know, these BRICS nations, of which Brazil is a part, a country close to Bolivia, well, it makes you wonder what kind of influence they're going to have with de-dollarization down the line. But one thing is for sure, no matter what happens to our currencies, even the dominant currency of the world, gold will outlast them all, as it has for thousands of years. And so that's why I believe in it, and that's why it's a good idea to have it and hold it in your portfolio as well. And even at a time when the prices are near an all-time high, gold has proven itself to be that effective store of value, and you can get it in small or large sizes. In fact, more so than ever before, fractional gold is becoming very, very popular, and the premiums have come down somewhat on that fractional gold, which is my friends at Summit Metals. They have still very competitive prices for some of that gold. So it's very interesting. It's fascinating to see the move of gold and how it is affecting other nations, and what desperate nations are doing when they have it in the ground. They're pulling it out of the ground. Now, obviously, this article, I think, is really more about talking about the effects of that gold mining without proper oversight. And, of course, we want to be good stewards of the environment, and also we want to have safe and effective practices. But a lot of these third world nations, you just don't have that. And so they're going to do whatever they can, whatever it takes. And more likely, the people are more than willing to do it in order to take that risk to get paid for it. And so it's kind of a sad situation, but nonetheless, there it is. Now, one thing that we can do here in the United States is continue to buy gold, ethically sourced, obviously. But I believe that it is the ultimate way to be able to really protect yourselves overall. And I think we can learn a lesson here from Bolivia, but in the opposite direction, by using this gold, by using these dollars to buy gold, because these dollars are losing value. And so you take part of your dollars to buy gold with, to be diversified, and have some dollars on hand in the case of emergencies, immediate emergencies, or emergencies that can be solved with dollars. Because there's going to come a day, perhaps down the road, when dollars won't be as effective as they are now. In fact, every single year, inflation does take effect. Even at the Fed's target, it does take hold and grasp hold of us. But gold persists through that and maintains its value, which is why it's good to have. So there you have it. Let me know what your thoughts are about this video. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.